our colleagues from the government, especially the Commission on Higher Education, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, the Department of National Defense, the Department of Energy, the Department of Health, the Department of Public Works and Highways, and the Department of Trade and Industry. Our research partners from the academe and the private sector, members of the local government units, members of the DOST family and co-workers in government, friends from media, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, isang magandang umaga sa ating lahat. We are very pleased that you could join us in this virtual gathering for the 6th National Research and Development Conference, or NRDC. 5 years ago, the DOST prepared the Harmonized National R&D Agenda, or NRDA, for 2017 to 2022 in cooperation with other government agencies, research and development institutions, and our partners from the academe, as well as from the industry sectors, to align all our R&D efforts. We believe that because of our commitment as a nation to unify our R&D efforts, the country is more than equipped and is in a better position to make scientific and technological innovations today than we were 10 or more years ago. This is evidenced by our country's performance in the Global Innovation Index, or the GII report, in recent years. In 2020, the Philippines reached its highest rank in the GII report, placing 50th among 131 countries in the world, a significant leap from placing 100th in 2014. Although our ranking took one step back in this year's GII report, placing 51st among 132 countries, we are still recognized as an innovation overachiever, delivering far more than what is expected and producing more innovation outputs relative to the inputs. In simple terms, the Filipino is recognized as an efficient innovator, and I believe this ingenuity was amply demonstrated in our battle to curb the rising threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. Filipino researchers, scientists, and engineers are at the forefront of our fight against the challenges brought about by the pandemic. From the onset, when we had to prioritize detection of the virus and protection of the people. Then later on, as we re-equip various sectors of the society to embrace the new normal. The 6th NRDC theme. The pandemic took a heavy toll on our country, affecting not only the health sector but also our industries, particularly the small and medium enterprises, the transportation sector, and even education, among others. And in the height of our fight against the pandemic, we deepened the role of R&D in the country's efforts to rise from the economic downturn that it took during the past year. The NRDC this year took on the theme Pananaliksik at Pagpapaunlad, Daan tungo sa Pagbangon, or Road to Recovery through R&D. Today and on November 17, we will highlight the R&D projects, programs, and technologies that contribute to the 4Ks: kalusugan, kabuhayan, kaayusan at kinabukasan, which represent the government's whole-of-nation approach towards recovery amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Kalusugan. The continuing pandemic has greatly affected our healthcare sector. We saw the vulnerabilities of our healthcare workers and the rest of our countrymen. We felt the need for faster and wider range of testing for more effective prevention and control of the virus. The pandemic established the need for sustained food security. We even realized that genome sequencing is an important part of our daily life. And with all that we have experienced for more than a year now, we are very pleased to showcase the various R&D interventions for public health, which includes genome sequencing of the SARS-CoV-2, the development of personal protective equipment, and biomedical devices such as ventilators, body temperature monitoring device, and miniaturized PCR device. We will also hear about the development of nutritional food products such as virgin coconut oil, fortified rice mongo, and ready-to-drink pili pomace tea, and other approaches to addressing food security and food safety. It is also worthwhile to mention that we have a number of collaborations with the Department of Health to address the needs in our health sector. One example is the development of living clinical practice guidelines for COVID-19 management, infection prevention, and control. On kabuhayan, the pandemic also affected the livelihood of many, and this was felt not only in the country but in the many global economies as well. Almost all sectors were shaken with the disruption of supply chains, transitions in work setups, and challenges in service delivery. Hence, the need to rebuild the country's kabuhayan. Our efforts on this end include agriculture and agri-processing with projects on fertilizers and nutrient management, watershed rehabilitation, and poverty alleviation. Promoting sustainable livelihoods such as picards, gulayan sa pamayanan, tilapia para sa pamayanan, and agricultural technology business incubators. There will also be a presentation about the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on ecotourism. On kaayusan, the third K stands for kaayusan. With all the chaos brought by the pandemic, there is a need to put most things back to order, restore the systems and structures that have been built in order to return to a semblance of the life we had before. Towards this end, research and development is being conducted to ensure an enabling environment for recovery. An example is the development and deployment of social tools against the pandemic, such as the COVID Cases Monitor or CCMON. There is also the RTAP, which is an intelligent supply and pressure management system that transforms water distribution systems into their most efficient version. Likewise, there are initiatives under the IATF subgroup on agribusiness focused on rebuilding a resilient agricultural food supply chain, development of socioeconomics research, remote data collection protocols, and the development of inclusive and resilient science and technology-based vegetable supply chains for the new normal. On kinabukasan, you will get to hear how we, in the various agencies of the government, contribute to the effort towards self-reliance and future development. You will have a glimpse of what is being done in the areas of biodiversity and natural resources, disaster risk reduction, and climate change, innovations on energy research, even human settlement development and urban planning. The national government agencies have different ways of addressing or contributing to the country's recovery amidst the pandemic and the sustainable progress of our nation. While these recent years have been challenging, we are confident that as we continue to foster an enabling environment for R&D, we will eventually overcome not only COVID-19 but also many of humanity's problems such as hunger, poverty, and inequality. On this note, we hope that you will join our efforts in advocating for increased support and investment in science, technology, and innovation. The GII report cited the Philippines as one of the countries that has the potential to change the global innovation landscape for good. In fact, we rank fourth among 34 lower middle income group economies in terms of innovation performance. As mentioned earlier, The Filipino researcher is considered an efficient innovator. That is, we deliver more innovation output compared to what is expected given our innovation input. We have a pool of talented researchers, and the Global Innovation Index recognizes our graduates in science and engineering as one of our strengths in innovation. However, these strengths could not be maximized, and our potential will not be realized with a modest investment in R&D. Averaging less than 0.2% of our GDP, still far below the UNESCO recommendation of 1% for a developing country. We are hoping that soon we can commit our nation to invest more in research and development. Currently, there are several bills filed in Congress which are aimed at increasing the capacity of the Philippines in science, technology, and innovation. One is the establishment of the Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines, or the VIP, and I am pleased that President Duterte has regarded this a priority, together with the establishment of the Philippine Center for Disease Prevention and Control, or CDPC. The BIP will focus on the study of viruses and development of vaccines, while the CDPC will focus on surveillance, prevention, and control of infectious diseases. These are part of our efforts to enhance the nation's capacity to protect public health and to prevent, manage, and mitigate emerging and re-emerging diseases. We are also advocating for the passing of the Science for Change Bill, which would contribute to sustaining several of the innovation efforts that we started a few years ago. The Science for Change Bill is intended to achieve three things. First, to utilize science and technology for a more resilient Philippines following the COVID-19 pandemic. Second, to address persistent and emerging problems in the Philippines, including those concerning health, food, shelter, and livelihood. And third, to achieve the needed transformation and self-reliance of the Philippines. The Science for Change Bill has passed the House of Representatives but would still need approval from the Senate. So what is our call for action? Let us keep doing R&D together. As I end, I would like to thank all of our partners in the government, DA, DENR, DICT, DND, DOE, DOH, DPWH, DTI, CHED, DepEd, and the public and private spheres for your commitment in fostering a research and development ecosystem geared towards the sustained growth and development of our country. On a personal note, I'm very happy that this is already the sixth National Research and Development Conference. I still remember the time when we were crafting the Technology Transfer Act, and this is one of the provisions there, that there should be a once a year National R&D Conference so that people will know what have been the outcome of our R&D. To the researchers and our partners in the academe, we commend you for thriving amidst these challenging times. To our friends in media, thank you for partnering with us to ensure that advancements in science and technology reach the Filipino people. I would like to encourage all of you to continue supporting science, technology, and innovation in your own capacities. Together, let us work towards a better and safer future through research and development that makes change happen. Thank you and welcome to the 6th National R&D Conference. Mabuhay tayong lahat!